What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? It's Trop and Cap here. We're absolutely killing it. Not really. This is like our first upload. It's kind of embarrassing that we only have one upload. So, without further ado, hopefully you laugh at least once. We are reviewing the one, the only, the masterpiece, the holy grail, the trinity, the treasure, the thing that makes me come at night. A Nightmare on Elm Street. So, the movie opens in a dream sequence. Blonde bitch, forgot her name, low-key, can't even lie. Bitch is getting chased by something we don't see, and then we see, it's Freddy Fazbear. The bitch wakes up, goes to school the next day. She hops into the car of a kid named Glenn. It is here that we meet our cast of Nancy, Glenn, and Ron. And they discuss that they've been having nightmares
on Elm Street.
But then it just randomly cuts to the night where they're all hanging out, prank calling people like you do, pretending they're getting shot up. Then they hear a noise from outside, and it turns out to be Ron. Ron and his blonde bitch go upstairs to have some sexy time. Glenn tries to do the same shit, but Nancy's not having any of it. She goes, "Oh, you fucking disgust me, Glenn," and walks inside. Cut to Glenn sitting there staring at the ceiling saying nothing. And the sound of the most realistic sex ever being played in the background. Anyway, blonde bitch dies because Freddy gets her. Ron runs, reasonably so, because it kind of looks like he murdered his girlfriend. The next morning, as, you know, a smart person would do, he fucking captures Nancy by putting his hand over her and taking her away from the fucking sidewalk while people are watching her every move. This is brilliance, bro. Brilliant. Big Dong Ron, he's just absolutely arrested, saying that he did nothing. And then we cut to Nancy in class, probably learning about algebra or some shit.
Whatever 15-year-olds do in high school.
I think she's 15.
That's a yikes.
Yeah. I hope nobody looks at my history. Anyway, it seems like she falls asleep, but then her eyes open almost immediately. And then she sees something out of the corner of her eye. A ghost with a spooky sheet on! Ooh! It's actually her dead friend, blonde bitch, in the window.
It's not actually her dead friend because her dead friend is dead.
She sees her dead buddy, her buddy old pal, and then her buddy gets dragged away from the window. So, like any normal person, she gets up and goes to the door without anybody. I mean, not even a single person, not even the fucking teacher said anything. So that's how you know this is a dream. A wet one at that.
Swamped.
I know I dream of dead women in body bags.
Sounds like an average Tuesday.
If only I wasn't so lonely. Then my graves would stop being defiled. Next, she enters the hallway. She sees probably one of the best things in this film. Her friend's body getting dragged. And I'm telling you, it's amazing. Just look at this recreation. Amazing. She goes. She just follows the dead body, bro. Like it's gonna lead her to a treasure chest. So, Nancy's running after her dead friend. Runs into some bitch. Like, why is she wandering the halls, bro? She is a student. I digress. She's wearing Freddy Krueger's classic sweater. And then she's like, "Where's your hall pass?" And Nancy's like, "Screw your pass." Incredible. Incredible writing. Anyway, moving on. She walks away, and then the girl randomly has Freddy's claw glove on. And you want to know what Nancy's response is? Ugh. She looks disgusted. Like, she doesn't look scared at all. She just looks disgusted. And she continues on her merry way.
I mean, to be fair, if you were in that situation, one you would think, oh, well, you know, but maybe that's a bit weird, right? But you fall and your dead friend getting dragged around by some dude. Are you really gonna be focused on that bitch with the weird Freddy glove.
Yes, especially when she called out to you, going like, "Ah, rah, rah, rah."
I guess.
We make it to the basement. And then we get the 1v1 of the century. Nancy Thompson versus Fred Krueger. Who's gonna come out on top, baby? Round number 1. Freddy's got it on top. He's chasing her. Nancy's barely keeping in front. And then, ooh, she gets hit. She gets scratched up.
And she drops a fucking pallet. Holy shit.
Not only does she drop a pallet, she drops a pallet to the middle of nowhere. So Freddy captures her. But what does she do? What's her next genius move? Does she A, cry like a little bitch, B, trip like every other horror movie female, or C, do something so genius that nobody else would even think about it? It's D, she burns herself. And she wakes up screaming.
Nice.
It was a pretty cool scene. She goes and visits Ron at the jailhouse, where he's just kind of sitting there singing the blues a little bit. And she's like, what was happening that night? And he was like, I have no idea. She was just being dragged up the wall and killed by someone invisible. And then she walks away. And then Nancy walks and she sits in like the waiting room or something. And then she fucking falls asleep again. Like, why is she falling asleep? In the fucking police station. I'm concerned. I think we should get Nancy tested.
Granted, she hasn't slept. She didn't sleep that day, I don't think.
It's true. It's probably true. There's kind of a lot of stuff that happens in between. But if you think I'm gonna bother explaining it, I'm not. She talks to her mother doesn't believe her. She talks to her father doesn't believe her. That's basically it. Like, she's having these dreams, right? And then Ron, the big man, hangs himself. Not really. Freddy hangs him. Nancy knew this was gonna happen. She's asleep and she's seeing this happen. And then she wakes up and runs her ass, her big cheeks, down the block to the police station, where the police are like, the hell are you doing here? It's midnight. And she's like, I want to see my friend. Okay. And then they let her in. And he's hanging. Even though they were literally watching him get hung. Like, the guy was clearly there before he was strung up on the ceiling. But I digress.
He died instantly, but, you know, that's not how hanging works.
Yeah, you know, you kind of have to suffocate for a little bit there, but...
Or break your neck, which she did neither of.
Nancy's mother doesn't believe her, so she takes her to a psychiatrist or some sort of doctor, and they get her tested. She has STDs. I mean, she has some sort of sleep problem where she can take hats out of her vagina and get cuts on the side of her arms. Brilliant. Even after this occurs, her parents still don't believe her, and they kind of lock her up by making her house a jail cell. On this night, she's warning her boyfriend, don't go to sleep, Glenn. Don't do it. And what does this motherfucker do? He falls asleep immediately watching porn, which his mother is surprisingly okay with. Like, almost strangely so. Anyway.
Listen, she probably did the same shit when she was a teen. She can't judge.
I mean, back in the day, they were probably having 8 kids. You know what I mean?
Everyone had fucking porn mags.
Exactly. That's all I'm saying. Regardless, my man falls asleep like a dumbass because he can't seem to listen to his girlfriend. I digress. Guess what happens next? He gets sucked into the motherfucking bed. This is one of the coolest scenes where blood just spurts fucking everywhere and
he gets turned into fucking fruit punch. The blood comes out of the bed like I come to this scene.
So, after all that happens, she devises a plan. Home Alone style. She puts traps all around her house. She sets up a hammer. She sets up some flamethrowers. And then she calls out to her father. saying, come to the house in 30 minutes. And what do these motherfuckers do? They go back to doing what they were doing beforehand. They don't even bother. It's almost like they want their children to die.
Yeah.
Regardless, Nancy's not taking any of it. She's already set up with her traps and gadgets. But she's not like Macaulay Culkin. She's ready to kill this motherfucker. She falls asleep.
Intentionally.
And then the usual chasing happens.
She drops a few more pallets.
And then
Just a little bit of teabagging.
She falls out the window onto a pretty fucking obvious sack of air with Freddy intact as well. And then she realizes, oh shit, I don't have any time left. And then she starts making out with Freddy. I mean, she jumps on Freddy and tries to take him into the real world, where they start making out. And then she pushes him off. The most epic chase scene continues. Fred Krueger versus Nancy Thompson. Round 2. Chase! Nancy's not one to be fooled by Freddy's tricks now. He's in her world. Bitch, she's not giving up. The hammer swings around. Boom! Right to the gut. The little scream from Fred Krueger fills the silent house with dread. Nancy runs down the stairs as quick as she can. She will not let Freddy chase her down anymore. She runs down those steps, Freddy not too far behind, jumping over the tripwire she has. And as Freddy walks into it, he gets lit on fire. And then she runs down to her basement, her cellar, where Fred Krueger's gloves disappear. Now he's trapped for good. Yeah, he's kind of not, because then she breaks the window and she calls the cops over, and they come over and they look into the basement, avoiding the very obvious fire shoe prints in the fucking carpet, waiting for Nancy to follow up the stairs to her mother's bedroom, where a skeleton has taken her place, falling into the bed that now has a hole in it. She turns her back to Freddy, saying he's only a dream, he's not real. And then Freddy disappears into pixie dust. I guess he was Tinkerbell the entire time. And then she walks out the door and the ending happens, where she hops into a vehicle with all her bad buddies and pals, and then Freddy's sweater ends up being the top of the car. Nancy looks back at her mother, and she turns into a sex doll that gets dragged into the window, ready for Freddy to fuck. And that's the end. So obviously, that summary was very painful for us to get through. But we've got some genuine criticisms and praises to give this movie, this film, right? One of the first things I wrote down, that I liked, was the very opening. I think the opening really kind of sets Freddy Krueger's personality without, revealing him completely. He's playing with blonde bitch like she's a toy, and I really enjoy that. I think it's a great way of kind of foreshadowing the way Freddy acts throughout the film. The beginning also throws you for a loop, making you believe that perhaps blonde bitch will be the final girl. But as it turns out, she's the first one dead, subverting your expectations for what will happen. And then at 9:08, particularly 9:08, somebody was caught wearing jeans in the background, and they weren't supposed to be in the scene. You should look at it. It's pretty fucking funny. The overacted sex scene is perfect and hilarious. We think it was absolutely well done. There's nothing better they could have done. It was just perfect.
It's about as fake as your average porn video, so I guess it worked.
Exactly. It's what I masturbate to every night. Freddy, above Nancy. Oh, dude, the scene where Freddy is above Nancy, and while she's trying to fall asleep that first time. Oh my god, dude. That practical effect is amazing. Something CGI could never compare to. And the remake tried to compare to it with CGI. It did not work. The practical effects, the fact that they were able to do that scene, oh my lord, it is so cool. One of the best scenes in a horror movie ever, dude, in my opinion. I think it's really nice, or I really enjoy that it's hard to tell the difference between the dreams and reality most of the time, because it kind of throws a first-time viewer for a loop, making you wonder, is this a dream sequence or is it reality? And I really like that. I like that a lot. And then stretched arm Freddy in the second chase scene is so goofy. It's a fantastic way of just introducing the character. And I also think that the technically second chase scene does a really wonderful job at showing Freddy's personality as well, and conveying that to the audience.
I personally like when he cuts off his fingers and looks at them like he's a toddler who just showed his mom a noodle art that he made.
And then I also referenced the scene where Ron pulls Nancy behind the bushes and says he's not gonna hurt her, yet he puts his hand over her mouth, preventing her from screaming, and she's forcefully getting dragged behind the bushes, like I did with her mom yesterday. Well, we had a difference of opinion on this one, because I thought it was ridiculous that everyone was like, "You're going to school?" And you were like, I think that's a proper reaction.
Most people would take off after their friend just died, at least for a few days. So it kind of makes sense that, like, you know, maybe people would be concerned about her going to school.
But like I said, I thought that it made perfect sense for her to go to school, to like take her mind off of what happened. Because if you're just staying at home alone, like all you're gonna think about is what happened. So I personally saw it as a good thing in my opinion, but I guess it depends on the person. School dream scene is fucking fantastic. I was actually going to breeze through it during the summary, but we just had to cover it because it's seriously one of the best horror movie scenes. I think I've said this a couple times, but it's seriously, it's so good. It is so good. Watch this movie. Bro, watch this movie.
Screw your past.
So there's a scene where during the chase where Freddy's face is seen between pipes, and
for some reason he's missing his hat.
His fedora, bro. I mean, he's not a nice guy. Maybe he is a nice guy. That's why he was hanging around with children. He couldn't get a bitch in real life.
Fair enough.
No bitches. Burn mark is on the wrong side of her arm. Yeah, dude, it's so obviously on the wrong side of her arm. Like she burns the outside of her left arm, and then it's on the inside of her left arm. Like it's pretty bad. It's not great. Oh, dude, I didn't even mention the bathtub scene. The bathtub scene where she takes a bath and Freddy's claw hands come up right near her vagina, bro. It's so well shot. Just watch this movie. Just watch this movie. Nancy sucks at staying awake. Like I said, Nancy cannot stay awake for shit, bro. She's falling asleep in almost every scene she has.
She's not gonna have fun at college.
I think it kind of hints towards the fact that Freddy almost lulls them to sleep, but there's no real proof to that. But I think you could make a strong argument that he can put people to sleep. I said all dream sequences are fantastically done because they seriously are. Glenn's a fucking idiot, bro. Glenn was supposed to wake her up. You know, she was trusting him to wake her up, and he fucking falls asleep too. He falls asleep too, putting his girlfriend in danger. Like, this guy. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. I cannot stand these people. The parents are fucking naive. They're dumb. They're imbeciles. I think the parents are the worst part of this film because they have literally zero reason to not believe their children. Zero. Like, there is so much evidence, especially, bro. when I get to the doctor scene, this shit triggers me every time I watch it, but I'll hold off for a second. The parents are unbearable throughout this film. Unbearable. Ron dies from being hanged too quickly. I think we already mentioned that. After the Ron event, the parents should be way more trusting of their kids. How did Nancy know that something was going on with Ron? The parents clearly don't care enough to ask or trust their child enough to believe them in the future. Because, you know, she only woke up at 2 a.m. randomly and wanted to see her fucking friend in the prison. It makes no fucking sense. There is no reason for the parents to not believe him. And if the parents did believe her, you know, there'd almost be no fucking movie. Nancy gets ignored when she describes Freddy as well.
The parents have an obvious reaction to it, but still choose to ignore her rather than...
At her friend's funeral?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Dude, you have no reason not to believe your daughter at this point. She's literally describing this guy to your face. God, the parents piss me off so much. The mother clearly sees that her daughter wasn't lying about her dreams and she still doesn't believe her. This is in reference to the doctor scene where she fucking pulls out his fedora. She does not walk in with a fedora. And she pulls out his fedora into the real world and has scratches on her arms. And she still does not believe her daughter after this. It is... I think it's just not well written. I think it's a little contrived, if I'm being honest. At this point, the parents have no reason, literally -0, if -0 existed, reason to not believe their daughter, and they still don't. It's ridiculous. Nancy still trusts her dumb ass mother. She still tries to trust and have a bond with her fucking mother, but her mother tells her to trust, to have faith in her. But there's no reason to. There is no reason to. Everything that has occurred up until now has suggested that Nancy should not pay attention to what her mom has said, because her mom has not been paying attention to her or anything that has happened to her. There is no reason to trust her mom, and her mom is still like, yeah, you should trust me. In some ways, it almost feels like the parents are trying to kill their children, because there are so many moments where they're idiots. There's something they could have done to protect their child, and they don't do it. Glenn's parents, it makes a lot more sense when they don't believe her. But her parents have no reason to, and they had no reason to make her house a fucking prison. On Call with Glenn, Nancy also has another iconic line. You whacked the fucker and we got him. And then, right in my script, Glenn, by far, has the best death scene. The best. Him going down and having a geyser of blood, and then the spinning room that they have makes the blood trickle down it. Oh my fucking god, bro. This scene was brilliantly shot. It was brilliantly done, all practical, and honestly, there's no other scene like it, in my opinion. It's so good. It's so good for no reason. So Nancy gets undressed. She puts on a shirt, and she looks out the window and sees Glenn's father looking at her. So I asked the question if Glenn's dad saw her naked, bro. Glenn's dad is a fucking freak. And Glenn's father basically killed his son. Like, he kept the phone off the receiver. He basically killed him. A weird thing happens where Freddy's mouth becomes the telephone, even though Nancy's not asleep. So it's kind of confusing whether or not Freddy can manipulate something like that, even though she's not asleep, because he only really affects the dream world. Nancy's dad does not listen to her and nearly gets her killed. Again, another moment where a parent or adult almost gets their child killed because they do refuse to listen to him. They refuse. And then her mother, she puts her mother to bed because she's an alcoholic and she drinks just like my dad. And she's like, oh, and stay safe or some shit like that. Like she all of a sudden believes Nancy for no reason. Like, why did it take you so long?
It only took a few drinks.
Yeah, it only took you like 15 fucking years, almost the entire goddamn movie, to believe your own daughter. The policeman does not take a girl's cries for help seriously. This is ridiculous. A policeman in real life would take anybody's cries for help seriously. At least I fucking hope.
They even take the prank calls they get seriously until they figure out it's prank calls. But then you have a lawsuit on your hands.
They have no reason to not, at the very least, investigate her cries. At the very least. But no, they don't. And then one of the dumbest lines in the fucking film happens right afterwards. I think I'll give my co-host the honors of reading it.
Maybe I should tell the lieutenant.
Maybe I should tell the lieutenant. Maybe you should have told the fucking lieutenant 15 years ago. Bro, fuck off. Dumbass, bro. You cannot be this stupid. Okay, so how did Freddy get past her while on fire? That doesn't make sense. He really shouldn't have gotten past her while he's on fire. I wrote she's asleep, but we still don't really know. It's kind of left a little vague on whether or not she's asleep. But then he appears again. But then he kills her mother, which is in a way that he would only be able to do in the dream. So I guess she's asleep.
When would she have fallen asleep, though?
That's like, I guess the ending kind of hints towards her like waking up. Like, this is a multi-layered dream, and maybe that's why he was able to manipulate the phone button, because it was a
fell
dream
asleep
the entire time.
She fell asleep a long time ago.
Yeah,
That'd be deep.
that wow, holy shit.
That'd be interesting.
The ending is really vague and confusing. Also, blow up doll, dead body. Yeah, I wasn't lying about the sex doll going through the window. They literally just, the actress was replaced with the fucking blow up doll. And the ending is really vague and confusing. Again, it's not really a positive or a negative. It's just like, I don't know. Part of me wants it explained and part of me doesn't. Kind of like, I don't know. The only issue I have with the ending is that later on films kind of ruin it. Like part 3 where Nancy comes back, like how does she get out of the dream? That's my question. But regardless, this is a great film. This is my favorite horror film. I know I'm going out or starting off with a bang.
A solid 9 out of 10.
I was gonna say 10 out of 10 personally. For me, it's a 10 out of 10, but like objective wise, it's probably more of a 9 or an 8 out of 10. Because no film is perfect, but to me, it's perfect. I love it so much.
It does have a bit of confusing things in it, but I don't think that it subtracts from the film at all.
And I also think that the adults, they could have been written better. I mean, when they first didn't believe her, that makes sense. But after shit kept on happening over and over and over again, it's just like, how are you not believing her at this point? It almost feels as if they're in denial, and maybe that's kind of the point, that they're in denial, denying the fact. At least her mother was definitely in denial. But it kind of makes for a very annoying plot point. Really, I just, the parents kill me. And yeah, that was A Nightmare on Elm Street. I think my co-host has one last thing to say to end off our video with a bang.
The Freddy song makes me
How to be funny. Look it up. How to be funny. The easiest way to be funny is highlighting actual funny things that happen in your everyday life. Bro, the internet is not helpful when you like need some suggestions on how to be funny. Let's add this to the recording, by the way. The internet kind of sucks. I asked it how to be funny because we're not funny. Like, we're actually kind of struggling here. We're usually funny, but we're not funny right now. Learn to identify the opportunity to spin what you say at the last minute, and you will learn to be funny. Oh my fucking god, bro.
just be funny.
Just be funny. Just do it.
Stop being awful. You suck. Stop that right now.